I'm Rhett and I make nature documentaries. When you're working on a project, you have to go through your footage every day or you'll just lose track of what's going on. It just becomes too much. This process is called going through the dailies. We've been filming this big male alligator for a couple days. He's extremely defensive of this pond, which makes for some really good footage of behaviors. Because he's so consistent and he's right next to where we can film, I've been focusing on him right when I show up. When you're putting this together in a sequence, it's going to need multiple different perspectives and multiple different levels of zoom. Otherwise, no one will be able to tell what's going on. What he's doing right now is actually waiting at the path that the gators would normally take to get from pond 2 over to his pond, pond 1. You can see it better here. You notice that I just put that last clip in fast forward, but you couldn't even tell. I could have used a still frame. These guys sit perfectly still for so long. They'll make little adjustments and then have big explosive movements. This is the other alligator in the pond. I can't know for sure, but I think that this is the same alligator that was causing trouble for the big guy yesterday. Most of the time when another individual tries to get into pond 1, the big alligator will go chase him off, but this one just isn't responding to that behavior. It'll stand up to the bully instead, and Mr. Defense, the big alligator, really doesn't seem to know what to do with that. He just kind of eventually backs down. This guy's really bold. He's even moving across the pond into the bigger alligator's space. This setup that I have right now isn't great for tracking shots, so instead I'm trying to anticipate where the alligator is going to go, which is not too hard, and then move the camera in front of that so that I can get them coming into and out of the screen at different angles and directions that I can put together later into a coherent sequence. I initially thought this pond was much deeper than it is, but you can see this one walking on the bottom. It's just crazy how quickly they can disappear into water that's barely deeper than they are tall. And here's why he went down. Mr. Defense is coming over with his backup to check him out. I am speeding this process up a lot for you, but just know that every little motion is separated by 5 to 20 minutes of waiting. Doesn't mean it's not intentional though. They really have in mind what they're doing. I wouldn't actually use this shot. I had to stabilize it so much it looks goofy, but I just included it because I wanted to show you the relationship and space between the two alligators. Just getting different angles and different zoom levels of the two. I think that something's about to happen. You can see that Mr. Defense is starting to move a little bit more, so I've zoomed out enough that I can capture a broad range of motion without having to actually move the camera. I cut in a little here. I'm always trying to frame the two individuals on either side of the screen. This is a really tense situation. They could probably actually be touching each other at this point if they wanted to. Cut in again. You'll notice that the other alligator, who I've nicknamed Best Friend, has got his back out of the water too. That's to show Mr. Defense that he's big enough to cause a problem. I cut the audio here because I was talking about the alligators to another person on the trail. To compensate for that in the film, I might take sounds that are still diegetic, so still of the place and time, but from right before or right after I had the conversation and paste them over this instead. They spent minutes here posturing each other before Mr. Defense sort of gave up and actually took off across the pond a little ways. Here's the actual speed. Finally, he gets to where he apparently feels more comfortable and then does this display, which for all the world looks like a little hissy fit to me. Alligators will head smack like this as a display to either attract a mate, ward off another male, or both. In this case, there's only one other alligator in this pond, so it's clearly targeted at him. But I also wonder how much of this is just Mr. Defense finding a way to blow off some steam. Eventually, he completely gave up and moved over to my side of the pond. I would normally have cut this shot because of the plant in front of him, but I included it just to show how frustrating it can be when an animal gets so close that you could get the most amazing shot if it weren't that it's actually a little bit too close. This is an establishing shot over at Pond 2. You can see the creek flowing into the pond. This one's connected up with the bigger ponds further up. There's a male in the bottom left starting to display. He quit as soon as I zoomed in though. This is a really interesting behavior. This alligator is rubbing its face on the sandy creek bottom. I don't really know why it's doing this. My first thought was maybe it had parasites on its face it was trying to scratch off, or that it was digging for something. An expert on alligator behavior happened to be there at the same time. He didn't see the behavior, but when I described it to him, he said that it reminded him of alligator behaviors where they'll dig for salamanders and muck. So maybe this one was digging for mussels or something else that would be buried in the sand. This is just a shot of the creek. Shots like this, which don't contain any active participants, like the alligators in this case, or if it were a TV show with people, the humans, those are called B-roll. They're used to establish the scene and give you the context within which the action is going to happen. So if I just filmed alligators up close all the time, you wouldn't really be able to wrap your head around what was exactly going on, because their movements would be meaningless. They're crossing some distance within a space that you can't really understand without seeing the borders. I'm moving the shot and moving the story up the creek between these ponds, so you need the actual creek itself to understand, oh, that's where that alligator was digging in, and this is the connection between, say, Pond 2 and Pond 3. Back in Pond 2, this guy is displaying. In an ordinary film, I would not actually move forward and then backwards like I just did, but in this case, since it's the Dailies, you're getting to see it in the order it was shot. He actually triggered the alligators in Pond 1 to go off as well. You can hear some children doing displays of their own in the background. I'd have to record some more audio of bellowing and paste it in here as a substitute if I use that shot.